Oh my goodness. Do we have some things to discuss? Nikki Haley, wow, she is about to be humiliated on her home turf. I'm telling you, these are the final moments, the final days for the Nikki Haley campaign. There's no way that she can continue going after what we have just seen. I'm surprised she's even willing to go through this humiliation in South Carolina, frankly, ladies and gentlemen, because according to a brand new poll out by CBS YouGov, it's pretty bad. 65% Donald Trump. He's up 35 points there compared to Nikki Haley, who's coming away with 30 points. Oh, and we got more. Because you know what? When you look inside the poll, you see even more bad stuff for Nikki Haley. Take a look here. She's from South Carolina. So does that make you more or less willing to vote for her? Well, 20% say they're more likely to vote for her. Only 20%, 5% say less likely, 75%, no difference at all. So in other words, people aren't really wedded to that. Okay, you're a hometown girl. I'm going to vote for you. Therefore, nope, because they're voting for Trump. And then when you look at the issues that matter to them most, they're all international, national issues, including, by the way, this little number, looking back on their records, Trump versus Haley. You know, they have experience with her in South Carolina. Do you approve of her as governor? Only 60% approve of her. 82% approve of Donald Trump as president. So there you go. Like, I don't know what more you need, Nikki. I realize there are a lot of important people kind of propping you up there, trying to keep you in business, shall we say. I mean, I don't even think the woman can leave if she wanted to leave. And by the way, she's saying all kinds of crazy stuff. Have you heard her? I mean, right after Nevada, she's using words that, let's just say, we're not supposed to use in polite company, right? Take a listen.
Does that situation in Nevada hurt a little bit?
No, I mean, Nevada, it's such a scam. They were supposed to have a primary. Trump rigged it so that the GOP chairman, who's been indicted, would go and create a caucus. We knew months ago that we weren't going to spend a day or a dollar in Nevada because it wasn't worth it. Mm-hmm. And so we didn't even count Nevada. That wasn't anything we were looking at. We knew that.
Is that what she's going to tell us about South Carolina? Let's keep in mind, it was already historic. I mean, the woman lost to anyone else. Right? Remember that? None of these candidates, she lost to anybody else in the universe. None of these candidates, 62.9% versus Nikki Haley at 30, basically, we'll be generous, call it 31% there in Nevada. So that was historic. That was humiliating. And now she's clearly a glutton for punishment because she's moving on. I mean, she's told us over and over again, she's in this to win it. She's in it to the end. Really? I mean, you must really be good with your money, Nikki, because either that or have some very, very generous benefactors, because I'm just saying, there's not much more momentum you're going to have after this one. It is going to be an epic fail. We will remember this one in the history books. I'm not entirely sure why she's still clinging, because let's face it, she's got to go on to do something after, right? I mean, this is her career. She's in politics. And so how does she pivot? How does she turn? Is she going to suddenly say, oh, I love Donald Trump after knocking him every chance she can? I mean, Drew, I don't know if we have this sound, but she was just out there knocking him on Ukraine. Furious. Let's see if Drew has it. I know he's going to play it for you because this is unbelievable. We've had to listen to Schumer. We've had to listen to Romney. I got to listen to Nikki Haley, for goodness sakes. Nikki Haley telling us how bad things are on Ukraine.
It's important for Joe Biden and Congress to tell the American people why they should care, to give them the other side. And you don't hear that. The other side is that NATO's been a 75-year success story. We have not had war in the region. And if you look, Russia has never invaded a NATO country. They've invaded Georgia. They've invaded Ukraine. They've invaded Moldova. So we want to make sure that, yes, do we want NATO to pay more? Of course we do. But the last thing we're going to do is side with a thug. Keep in mind, Putin Putin kills his opponents. Keep in mind that he has arrested Evan Gersovich, who's been sitting in jail just for doing journalism. Keep in mind that this is a man who has wanted to destroy America and defeat America for years. I dealt with Russia every single day. It is a mistake for Trump to side with Putin over our allies. We needed a lot of friends after 9/11. We better remember that. But it takes a friend to get a friend.
Ambassador. Wow. Okay, so just to keep a few things in mind, Russia was like our best friend right after 9/11. In fact, the very first phone call from any international world leader that Bush got was from Vladimir Putin. We actually had very good relations in the scheme of things right after 9/11, Nikki Haley. And I would only point out that she doesn't have the entire picture. There is a narrative that is being force-fed to the American public right now that is not entirely accurate. It is not, it's very biased. It's very bad Russia, pro-US, but it doesn't take into account what actually happened when the Soviet Union fell in 1989, November 1989, the wall comes down. And then what happened? There was kind of a vacuum, like nobody knew what to do until they came up with the Dick Cheney. Ha ha! Funny, huh? How this all goes full circle. Dick Cheney, then defense secretary in 1992, he came through in like March of 92 with his plan. He had a grand plan, you see, to confront what he believed would be the threat of the former USSR. So he had to contain the USSR by growing NATO. So it went from 17 countries to 30 today. I'm just saying, like, if you're Russia, you don't think that that's going to be a threat? And we've talked about this. George Kennan, who was the political realist, political theory thought realist, was also a guy who had been in the State Department from 1928. His whole career, big part of it was during the Cold War when he was the U.S. ambassador to Russia, USSR, Soviet Union. So he kept saying, and he kept warning, hey, this is going to be a problem because Russia's not going to like it when you keep growing NATO. And why are you growing NATO? Why are you growing NATO? I have a theory. The powers that be may not like it, but I have a theory. It has something to do with some stock charts. Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin versus the S&P. Let me tell you, shareholders, they've been doing very well since the Maidan revolution in Ukraine. I mean, these stocks were kind of left for nothing. And then all of a sudden they outperform the S&P. I'll save that for you for a little bit later. But Nikki Haley, despite her constant professing to know everything and therefore know all about Ukraine and all about Russia, I'm just saying, I don't think the woman is a student of history. And she certainly hasn't gone back, like yours truly, and looked at her primary sources. They keep trying to tell you over and over again, hey, you know what? The U.S. never, ever, ever promised Russia or led Russia to believe that we were not going to expand NATO. Well, I mean, I'm sorry, but why the heck would Gorbachev have ever done the deal if you thought you were just going to try and expand into the USSR's former Soviet Union's territory? I mean, it wouldn't make any sense, right? So, okay, maybe you didn't have something in writing, but if we go back and we look at the original people behind the deal, including Kennan, who's like the granddaddy of Russian-American relations. I mean, this guy understood it better than any. Then what you find is that actually what Putin was recently telling us was kind of true. So Nikki Haley, I'm sorry, sayonara, arrivederci, it's over, okay? Adios, it's over. You can take all the humiliation, I guess, you want. Cracks me up. Politicians, they get really thick skins, right? She's got really thick skin because she's going to have to brace herself on her home territory for a pretty humiliating defeat. But hey, you know, she's got the people that want us to continue fighting these disastrous events all over the world behind her. So we'll see whether she makes it another day. I don't think so. I think this is the end, and I think we're watching it here, ladies and gentlemen, in real time.